So there's an ancient secret to building wealth that's been with humanity for thousands of years. In today's world, it is a simple money principle that is embraced by the rich, but unfortunately, it's been forgotten by the poor. And I want to change that because 63% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and credit card balances in the US have just hit an all-time high. So I think that it is time we unravel this ancient mystery that us normal folk have neglected to remember. Now, it's hardly a shock that the majority of us are feeling cash-strapped, especially in this current economy. High food prices combined with expensive Barbie cinema tickets, it's just an economical disaster. But the reality is, with this secret, it's not even an excuse. Nothing will shift your financial life until you grasp this single, uncomplicated technique that the ancient Egyptian pharaohs were absolute masters of. Now, if we look back more than 2,000 years ago, the Roman Empire was expanding. Everywhere the sandal-wearing pasta lovers looked, they simply conquered. Nobody could stand up to Rome's military might. Ancient Egypt stood no chance at all against the Roman army. But through this basic economical system, which was already at this point thousands of years old, Egypt possessed a huge advantage over their Roman counterparts. And because of this, ancient Egypt was not conquered by the Romans like many of the other empires. Egypt was able to maintain its own identity, and we even remember it today. You see, historically, ancient Egypt has been a huge producer of grain, and food back then was in essence the gold standard. It was more important than the money we know today. In fact, coins had only just started becoming a thing. Now, when it became time to harvest, the pharaohs would store a percentage of the grain in these ancient silos, even before they fed their own people. Egyptian pharaohs realized that every few years there would be a famine, a shortage of food, and especially grain. So it stored the grain first before doing anything else. And after the storage was complete, it was then distributed to the populace to eat, sell, and trade. With this simple system, each year the grain supply could be controlled, stored, and regulated. Kinda like a modern day Federal Reserve, just without Jerome Powell on a magical grain printer. The system meant that when the famine did come, and the pharaohs knew it was always coming, Egypt had options over other nations that were gonna starve. And if we then cut away from the ancient Egyptian music, I bet many of you watching at this point are like, Pete, I've got it. The ancient Egyptian grain storage is basically an ancient emergency fund today, right? And you're dead wrong, because the ancient Egyptian pharaohs only loved three things: cats, big sandy triangles, and of course the big one, gold. So they did something even better than just having a basic emergency fund. And the best way to explain this is fast forwarding today with your own individual budget. I bet many of you watching have a budget that looks something like this. You get your paycheck, let's say it's $3,000 in, you then pay your rent or mortgage, say $1,000, elec and gas is $250, food comes in at $800, you may have a nice shiny car which costs $600, $200 on loans and credit cards, and a phone bill of $50. You will then invest the remaining $100 left over from your salary. That's the standard, decent practice today. A solid budget and plan have the spare cash to invest. That is the huge mistake. That's not the way of the pharaohs. You see, a pharaoh would be doing their investment first. They locked away their grain quicker than a Taylor Swift relationship. Only after they had stored it, they then paid their bills and fed the public. And they were not worried at all about their people going hungry and starving from a famine. Trust me, they didn't give a rat's ass. They did this because when a famine would come, and it always did come, they could sell this grain at a much higher price. They could use it as leverage even against the Romans. By investing into their future, as soon as they had funds to do so, they were guaranteeing at some point they would be in a much better financial position with more leverage. So even when a mighty army like Rome came knocking on the door, Egypt had a huge bargaining chip to make sure they're not wiped out. And that is the exact same principle the rich are using today. The first thing on your budget every single month should be your investments, your financial future. If you invest first, your wallet will adapt to make the rest of the expenses work. I guarantee you. It might mean moving into a smaller apartment. It may even mean selling and downgrading your car. but it will mean at some point in the future you will be in a much better financial position and have a better life in the future. It is the only way to get yourself out the day-to-day rat race and force your way into that millionaire club. And if you combine this mindset, this budgeting plan, with a very basic investing hack that most people miss out on, you will get there much quicker. In fact, it's as easy as just clicking a button, as I explain in this video here. And check out the pinned comment if you want to join our community for absolutely free. Catch you later.